Nate, I'm pretty sure we don't advocate for video game remakes or movie remakes that often on this channel. I mean, we love some of them, things like Medieval, Demon Souls. There's a lot of different remakes that are very good, but you run the risk of really messing up something that was good in the first place. We were actually looking back at the Kingdom Hearts series. There's actually a few games that I think really need a remake, and the one we wanted to talk about today is 358 Over 2 Days, or as they call it online, which I've never heard anyone pronounce it this way at all, 358 Days Over 2.
Literally no one calls it that.
I've always called it 350. I always usually just call it 358 because I just don't want to deal with it.
I call it 358 divided by 2 days, but I don't even know.
So you're
if that's
doing
correct.
Math. You're just doing math.
That's what that symbol
You're
is.
like Xehanort.
It's a divided symbol.
They're going to find your Heartless lab where you've been doing your heart math with this. But yeah, we wanted to talk about this today. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe. We're trying to cover Kingdom Hearts more often. This is one of our favorite series. And this game covers one of my favorite characters that I never... Actually, 3 of my favorite characters, but one of them I never actually expected to like when he was introduced, which is Roxas. Mm-hmm. And one thing that I think is really frustrating about this game is that it is locked behind the original DS. Really, when you look at the game itself, you can see the cutscenes now on the PS3 or on the PS4 collections. But the problem I have with this game is that you can still watch all the cutscenes, and I understand that to people like Nomura probably and Square Enix and stuff, that was probably the best they could do. It's going to be hard to remaster a DS game for PS4. But it's not the same. You know, this is meant to be an interactive story, an interactive medium. Just watching the cutscenes is very odd because there'll be like a Heartless pops up, and then they'll give you like 2 text boxes saying, and then you beat the Heartless.
Right.
And then it'll jump to the next cutscene. It's very non-intuitive versus playing the game.
Well, and even some of the cutscenes are like, hey, you beat that Heartless. Nice. All right, now we're in Neverland.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
You're kind of like, okay.
Yeah, they jump forward. Well, and this is one of your favorite Kingdom Hearts games in terms of story.
Yeah, well, and also in terms of just the game itself, too. Like, for a while, I never actually owned Kingdom Hearts until I got the PS4 version. This was my Kingdom Hearts. Like, I had this game, I played this game a lot. But there's also just so much to love about this game, too. Like, not only just the story, but, like, the worlds itself I thought were really cool. This game introduced the Beauty and the Beast world. You can go to Beast Castle, which was used in later games as well. And also, I thought one of the most interesting things about this was actually Neverland. It wasn't the Captain Hook's pirate ship. It wasn't Big Ben. You could actually go and explore other areas of Neverland. Like, you can go onto the island and go to, like, the Native American camp, and there's other things you can do there, but...
Can you sing the song?
You can actually participate in the song.
Oh, nice.
You
but
can
you
be
can
a
choose
racist.
not to.
You can choose not to. Depends
Got
if you
it.
want to do the racist playthrough or the non-racist playthrough.
One thing that you go back to, and I had forgotten about this actually until we were looking at this game again, is Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah.
I had forgotten you actually go back here, because one thing I've been kind of thinking since Kingdom Hearts 1 is, where did that go? Like, it's just not important anymore. And it's interesting that you actually got to go back there here, and I don't know, I wish that they would bring this to modern consoles with modern graphics. So you don't have to change the gameplay that much.
Gameplay was fine.
Yeah, because
there's nothing wrong with it.
If you look at Birth by Sleep, they didn't change the gameplay to bring it to, you know, the PS4 or PS3.
Yeah.
Really all they did was they made the game prettier, and they made it maybe respond a bit better because it's in a higher frame rate. Other than that, it's the same game. I don't understand why you couldn't essentially deliver the same gameplay that 358 had, but with modern graphics, basically looking like Kingdom Hearts 3. I don't expect this to be Kingdom Hearts 4.
Right.
But the reason that we advocate for this is because this is necessary to understanding the story.
Yeah, when I played through this game, I hadn't played Rechain of Memories till actually kind of recently. But I remember playing the game when I was a kid, and I remember seeing stuff like Axel being like, yeah, I'm going to Castle Oblivion, sorry Roxas, I'll be back. And then Roxas is going through like his own turmoil or something of, where's Axel going, or, you know, whatever's going on.
Yeah.
And I remember just kind of playing and being like, oh, okay, yeah, whatever. But then when I played Rechain of Memories, I started to realize these games actually are together. Like when Axel says, hey, I'm going to Castle Oblivion, you play through Rechain of Memories, here Axel appears in Castle Oblivion. So you actually know what happened like 5 seconds before that. If you played 358.
Yeah,
Days Over 2.
Yeah, they take place concurrently. I mean, this
Yeah.
is kind of taking place during the end of Kingdom Hearts 1 and during the duration of Chain.
Yeah.
The thing is that you need this game. I mean, like, you need this to fully understand Nominee. This starts to actually explain the original Ansem, like the real Ansem. Riku's storyline is actually expanded on here too, because you have Chain of Memories where he makes his way through Castle Oblivion, but then he leaves, and the stuff he's doing is taking place near the end of 358.
Yeah. Yeah, and also it's necessary to understand Roxas too.
Yeah, no kidding.
Like if you just played Kingdom Hearts, Rechain, and Kingdom Hearts 2, you get to Kingdom Hearts 2 and it starts out with you playing as Roxas. And I'm gonna be honest, that is like one of the most boring parts in any Kingdom Hearts, the beginning of 2.
Well, I really liked it.
I like Roxas, I like Twilight Town.
I really liked it.
Okay, I guess my point that I'm trying to make is if you just played that and you only saw that section, you would be like, 1, who's Roxas? Why am I playing as him? 2, this is kind of boring. But 358 actually expands on Roxas as a character and makes him really interesting. So then by the time you get to 2, you're not like, wow, who's Roxas? You're like, well, I already know who Roxas is. I like Roxas.
Yeah,
He's
you
an
have
awesome
an
character.
investment.
Yeah.
I remember when I played this as a kid and I hadn't played 358 because I didn't have a DS when that came out. That's a big problem I've had with Kingdom Hearts in the past, is they're locked behind different systems. It's much less a problem now, but 358 and Coded still are.
Yeah.
Like, whether people like that or not. And then you have the movie, but that's at least included in the, collection.
Mm-hmm.
I actually played 2 without playing Chain of Memories originally.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know Chain of Memories was a thing. I was a child.
I did too.
And I didn't have a handheld at the time. And I remember you get to it and it's like, thank Nominee. And I'm like, for what? Like,
Right.
What are you talking about? And then they start to reveal, like, you got your memories back and everything. And they give you, like, a TLDR of it in Kingdom Hearts 2. But once I actually got to play these games and see the story of them, like Chain and 358, it's like, oh, this is a pretty big chapter in there. And you are really jumping ahead. I mean, at the very least in Riku's storyline, almost ridiculously far in his character development.
Yeah.
Because a lot of his character development, if you don't play these, it just happens off screen, whereas you get to see it in these games. Same with Roxas, same with Xion. And I would say too, until Kingdom Hearts 3, you could get away with skipping some stuff. So for example, 358, it would make the story not as good, but I think that you could play and understand the series without 358. The problem is when you get to 3, a lot of the emotional payoff is things from previous entries in the series, including 358. And I think it's a little bit of a weird expectation to expect players to sit through all these cutscenes, these disjointed cutscenes, and watch them, but not allow them to play the game that you're saying is necessary for the continuity of the story.
Yeah, it's kind of dumb.
It's backwards. It would be like Hideo Kojima releasing Metal Gear Solid 5, but say like Metal Gear Solid 4 was on the original Game Boy Advance, and he was like, well, I guess you'll have to watch a Let's Play. It's
Right,
like,
it's
well,
like,
okay,
okay.
but like, why would you make a PS4 sequel to a game that was on the Advance? That's kind of how I feel about the PS2, PS3, and PS4 sequels to games that were on the original Advance and DS with Kingdom Hearts. That's why you need to bring this back. And plus, I really do think these are characters now that are going to matter again a lot, and without that tragedy and that backstory being interacted with as much, I don't think it has the same impact either. Yes, you can watch the cutscenes, but you have to admit, even watching a Let's Play, if you watch the gameplay of something happening, that's a little more impactful for a story than it is to just watch cutscenes only, because it makes it flow more fluidly. You see how a character gets from point A to point B. You can have emotional struggle with Roxas, but you see physical struggle too then. And there is something else worth mentioning with this that's something, it addresses a thing that I have with the whole series, which is I wish there was more playable characters in the Kingdom Hearts series. Like, I love Sora, but I think that other than Fragmentary and, Dream Drop, and I would say Birth by Sleep, and Chain, which Chain focuses on Riku as well, there's such a focus on Sora as the playable character and not on a lot of other people. You can play as so many characters.
You could play as like all the organization, even Xemnas and Mickey in this game.
Yeah.
In the multiplayer mode, not in like the base, story game. But they added on a separate thing that was like a multiplayer mode. That's not like it's like a really difficult thing to get to, by the way. It's just you doing missions from the story, but you have the option to do them with friends.
Didn't you
or
say
you can just do them by yourself?
Yeah, you said you could like just load into that. It's not playlist, but that menu,
yeah,
and play a mission as Xemnas.
Yeah, you can play as anyone. Xemnas, any Xigbar, Zaldin, you can do any of them.
You have this thing being necessary to the story, especially of Kingdom Hearts 3, and I'd argue now 4. And the organization's very, very important to that overall story, and it's frustrating to have these things matter so much, but most modern players can't really play it easily.
Yeah, and plus the other expectation is, I know you can say, well, just get a DS. Well, yeah, I mean, I like the DS, but let's be honest here, most gamers are not wanting to like sit down and pull out a DS in 2022. Like, people just aren't wanting...
Or buy one.
Yeah, I mean...
Because it's... Well, first off, they're also hard... They're not hard to find. A lot of them are broken.
Yeah, a lot of them are broken. I know we went through 3 DSs.
Yeah, because the hinges break.
Yeah.
The hinges break just from use. That's
right.
The problem. Even if you're not abusing the console. That sounded weird.
Right.
Sorry, I've been watching too much of the Amber Heard trial.
Right.
I just figured someone would maybe poop on their DS and blame the dogs for it.
I did that too. I did that. It's just, I don't know. It's a weird expectation to me. The thing about the DS is unless you have a DS or a 3DS, you can't play DS games.
You can emulate them.
You can emulate. You can't play them just how they're normally meant to be.
Right. And the emulation actually, like, I've been looking at this too, because we do want to do a Let's Play of 358 eventually, not to drag this video out. But it is kind of complicated to actually emulate it and get it recorded well and not make the game look like absolute garbage and stuff like that. I own a physical copy of the game. Mm-hmm. It's not even as easy as if we wanted to play Chain of Memories. I bought the Retron. You can just put that in. There are ways to play those alternatively even on a TV.
Right.
And there's just not for this. I think it really sucks when you lock experiences behind old tech and never bring them back, but you still reference them. They don't have an easy way to play that. And I think that when you hit the point where you're just requesting players to watch a cutscene compilation or go watch a Let's Play,
which is like 4 hours long, by the way.
I think you kind of made a mistake.
Yeah. And like the cutscenes are like 4 hours. Like, no one's gonna just sit down for 4 hours and watch cutscenes and actually be actively engaged in it to understand the story.
Well, especially when you look at the recaps in the middle, they're very bare bones.
Yeah.
They do not actually cover everything that happens in the game.
No.
You can read reports and stuff too, sure, but like you almost have to go in a deep dive research paper mode to get everything out of 358 that way, and you're still missing the interactive element.
Well, and plus at that point, I'd rather just go on Wikipedia and look up the plot summary.
There's all kinds of things you can run through too, like how cool it is to play as all these different characters, how it's necessary, and how it did new things. But at the end of the day, my biggest problem with this is that this game, and Union Cross, by the way, have become 2 very important games to understand the story of, to understand Kingdom Hearts, and it's not super easy for modern players to get to them.
Yeah, it's very frustrating. It's very frustrating, especially because of how good the game is.
Well, let us know what you think in the comments down below. We would really like to see this game come back. I'd also like to see a remade version of Union Cross. That's something we're going to talk about in a different video, because that's also very important. Let us know what you think in the comments down below. Please be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed this and subscribe for more content. Have a fantastic day. And hey, one final thing. We did start a new Discord server. New and improved. The link to that is in the description down below, and I hope to see you there. As always, everyone, stay shui.